welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a video on the pressure of having loads of friends. That is kind of seen and felt by, I feel like, loads of people in the world. Me, in the past at least, or where this I feel like might come from, or also what you can do about it, what I feel like is the appropriate amount, or like not amount, but like the mindset of someone that's having this issue, and possibly, you know, my thoughts. So I'm sorry if the lighting's not ideal. I think I need to move my like ring light thing over here, but currently I've got a lamp to light myself, so I'm sorry if it's a little bit rubbish. So there we go. But I was watching this interview. These videos always give me like inspo, and basically I'm gonna first relate it to like the Bible. In fact, is that even worth? Let me get into that later, because I feel like that's just one thing. I feel like this idea can originate in school. It can originate honestly for the idea of safety. Like I know that linked to childhood trauma, there's like a lot of links to people that if they can't find that stability in a family system, they will attempt to find it outside of the family system in friendship, because that's kind of like the only place they can find it. Obviously there's things like school as well that can also add to being able to find it as well. Teachers can add support, parents that are healthier of other friends can add support, but often it's also tried to be it's also, you know, in friendship that it's looked for. So this can be one idea of the need to have lots of friends, because it can appear that like for me even, I think I've always developed very, very strong friendship groups. I mean, or like, I think everyone just has a variety of strengths and weaknesses in friendships, I suppose, but I would also say that it could appear from the outside world that I was closer with certain groups of friends than maybe other people appeared to be. But then I think the thing about friendship is that like a closeness can also be a weakness if you're too similar, or you might butt heads, or you just don't have the same outlook, but you're both very strong-minded. I don't know. So you can have like a variety of strengths and weaknesses in friendships that add up to the whole picture. So it's unfair to say like I think my friendships were stronger than other people, because there will be aspects of other people's relationships that I didn't have in certain friendships of mine that would appear strong. But I think maybe there's this aspect of, if like, I feel like your dynamic that you look for in a friendship is partially related to your upbringing, and like the other types of people that are already in your life, usually at that age of school, is sort of how you're raised, can also be a factor towards the type of people you gravitate to, or what you've experienced or whatever. So like, I would say, like, even if you, I mean, it's kind of just like the law of attraction, if you have had some sort of issue or trauma or whatever. Sorry, I'm really playing with my hair and stuff because I'm looking a bit gross, so I apologise for that. I went drinking last time, a little bit hungover. So yeah, I'm not living my best life right now, but there we go. I feel okay, but I'm sorry if I'm a bit greasy and gross, because I probably could have done with a shower and putting makeup on. But I also feel like, even though it might not be the most great thing for you to see, and it probably might be a bit distracting, I also think like this camera does have a filter of some form, I think, on it, but also it's also important, I feel like, not to worry too much about like makeup all the time, because it's just like cakes on your face. Like, don't get me wrong, we all love makeup, but my hair isn't that bad. Yeah, I'm a bit shiny and gross, but there we go, not ideal. Can't be bothered to like put a full face of makeup like every single time I do a video though. I think like it's just not gonna happen, to be fair. I don't do that every day, so why would I do it for a camera? It's just about how it makes you feel. Some people do it every day. So yeah, I also think like, so it's also like linked to all that stuff. I feel like it's like a safety avenue. Like they say like elephants, like I'm all very into spirit animals. They say elephants, they'll kind of rear around the most vulnerable elephant, if that's a baby elephant or a mother that's like giving birth or something. Like, they'll all rear around it to sort of look after it, and that's kind of like one of the aspects of you know, safety that I feel like, because like in humans there's also the ability to do that, because I believe there's like spirit animals, people have a spirit of an animal, that they, it's just a factor that humans can also do, like you can protect the most vulnerable thing as well. So I feel like it can come from a safety element, like if you are lacking friends, like it can be seen as like an idea of vulnerability. Like obviously again there's like pros and cons, like you can have really close toxic friends that are gonna, you know, cause you a lot of problems, whereas if you're independent of those people you might feel less vulnerable because you're more independent and able to do that. But I guess it's just a balance, like anything. It's so hard to find as a child, especially when you've got everything else to go on. I feel like God has us all, and hopefully we have the right people in our lives as we go through different seasons, and that's not something for me to worry about, but I think it's been the case, luckily. So there we go, thank you Jesus Christ. But it is, I sound like such a Bible eater. But yeah, I also maybe think there's an element of communal narcissism that can come from the need to have like excessive amounts of friends, in terms of some people aren't naturally leaned towards you know, being communal narcissists, in that they will you know, do things to get the approval of others, and that is how they kind of operate. So along that is I'm taking crackers while I'm here because I bought them last night and I didn't. Oh, do you know what? I feel a bit sick. So sorry, I've lost where I am now. I'm distracted by food. So yeah, communal narcissism. Yeah, so I've kind of touched on that already. I think just like and also other elements of personality disorders that can relate to like, or like obviously I'm not a psychologist, but like things that are found in people with like high narcissistic traits or different cluster B or different personality types. Like everyone like has a sense of jealousy. Like envy is one of the like 7 deadly sins. Like we are all jealous. So whether people are jealous because of the fact they're narcissists or other personality disorders is kind of relevant, but also people that are jealous, I feel like, of because I think as human beings, if you're not very, like some people, I think there's a sense of if you're not very perceptive, you can also have this sort of like warped idea, and it can come from trauma as well, of people that you can sort of like, you can lust over their life, if you like, and think like they've got like the perfect life or whatever, and obviously it's not the case, but like if people have like sometimes in society, like it can adopt a culture if there's like a lot of, see, we're all kind of similar in certain ways, like not we're all similar, but there's similar types of people. There's lots of people that are envious, there's lots of people that, like people they say with green eyes have high envy traits, like, you know, the green-eyed monster, like jealousy. I think people that are like, there's lots of different groups of people in the world, therefore it's like society can adopt that mindset. But I'll just quickly touch on like the Jesus aspect of like, Jesus had his like 12 disciples, but then he was like a leader, so I think there's like different elements of like Jesus that we all have. But you got to think like one of his disciples, Judas, like betrayed him, for example. So we've all got that like betrayal friend. I swear, like anyone's been betrayed, whether it's been by a friend or someone that they have to deal with, people that follow them, like disciples. We've all been there, and that's given me a bit of grounding in my life at the moment to know that we're all betrayed at some point in life, I'm sure, more than once, probably periodically, so there we go. Yeah, but like, I think it's so important though just to have like a space in order to fit other things that aren't relationships. And I think this can be especially important for people that have like upbringing issues, or just childhood trauma for whatever reason, to hold space for the other wheel of life pieces, if you like. And by that I did a video kind of touching on this, but it's things like career, money, time for yourself, time for like connecting to like source power, or like spirituality time, hobbies, like time with nature and all that kind of stuff, just fitting it into a well-balanced level. And relationship with like potentially a romantic partner. Obviously sometimes people don't have like that at all periods of life, or like any period of life, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but on this like general theory wheel, I did have that as one of the options. And obviously relationships with friends is also one. And then some people don't have literally any friends ever, or like I'm sure most people have a friend throughout their life, but if you're going for a period of time where you're not got any like tangible friends, like that can obviously be that happening too. But I just think in the general it's just helpful to have that like well-rounded life overall. And I think you can go through periods of time, like I'm single for example at the moment. I've lost a close friend to me in the recent past, and like obviously I've got like friends, don't get me wrong, and I think it's nice to have like a group of people that you can lean on for whatever reason that is. But I also think that I'm going through singleness at the moment, but I've had like a lot of very close relationships in the past, for the negative or positive. So yeah, I think it's just it evens itself out in the end, because I think if you have got that inner wanting to have any sort of more friends or whatever, like it will come into your life if you allow it to. But sometimes people have this like ambition that comes from, I understand it as well from a brain level, where apparently if you have like something that is kind of an expectation of you, which doesn't come from your own self, you feel it in the back of your mind rather than the front of your mind, because your front of your mind, your back of your mind is basically memory. Actually, that makes sense for me. I'm not a brain surgeon, so I can't really say, but basically the front of your brain is about decision making and the back of your mind is about memory. So if I sense it coming from the back of my mind, it's usually a projected thing in comparison to something that's coming from my own self. And obviously your inner desires, where does that come from in your brain? I'm not really sure, so I'm just not going to comment on that. But basically I just feel like if you can have this like internal pressure from an external source that it's not really like they're probably wanting to have control over you, or maybe they mean well, but it can be a projected pressure from outside influence rather than like your internal locus of control, your internal, you know, want. So yeah, and I think just also last thing, like I feel like you can it's important to be wary of like, sorry, I just had an idea. It's important to be wary of who's in your life as well, I feel like, and the fact that some people I think come into your life for the wrong reasons sometimes. And just as I feel like God sends us angels in seasons, it even says that in the Bible, and there's like verses on that about how he like sends you an angel in a season or whatever, and I think that's definitely true. But at the same time, people can be in your life for the wrong reason. And it also mentions in the Bible how if you if for one season like someone can come into your life and it can be a really positive thing, but then in the next season they kind of rot, and they're kind of not useful for you in the next season. So if God chooses to take someone out of your life, they're going to take someone out of your life. Like unfortunately we haven't got much of a say in that. Like we can pray for the relationship to be fixed in some way, but God has the, you know, or like I feel like what's going to happen is going to happen. Like sometimes people are in your life for a season, and it is important to scan your life for you know, negative influence and things that might not be a positive influence, and that might be holding you back from certain things, or might be draining your energy, or might just be having a negative effect on you overall. So yeah, that's kind of like the main thing. I just think as long as, like, I'm realising more, and I kind of spoke about this again in another video, which was that I will caption this, I feel like, because it's quite long, but I feel like as long as you're, like, something that I'm learning about friendship at the moment, and relationships and romantic relationships, is that you have to have space, like, for yourself, and the other person has to have space for themselves. Like, it's not love if you're trying to override each other, and it's so important to have, like, reciprocal respect and a place that like merits both of you being there, and without sort of the detriment of each other, because sometimes people can be well intentioned even if they have, like, obviously everyone's got their flaws, even if someone's a narcissist. I don't know about narcissists, let's like not touch on narcissists here, but sometimes people can you know, have positive intention, but it can turn toxic because of various reasons. But a part of it can be that you just don't have space for each other, and I think this can be a part of family dynamics that can be toxic. But it doesn't, like, some families aren't toxic and they're very similar, but at the same time you need to both have space for each other. And if someone either doesn't want to accommodate that space, they can't accommodate that space because they don't have the ability to understand your perspective, aka they don't have any cognitive empathy, which basically just, if they don't have any regard for you, then that's not really great. But the fact is, yeah, it's just very important to be wary of people that will sort of try and stimulate even, or, you know, or are you doing it to them? I feel like I even watched a video this morning about what is never acceptable in a relationship, and a couple of things I'd realised I'd done to other people, even if it was through retaliation or, you know, in defence of myself, which is usually why we act out, or partially why we act out. You know, sometimes it's malicious, of course, but part of why we act out can be because we're trying to act in self-defence. And yeah, so I can't remember, let me just think of it. So a couple of the behaviours that you shouldn't tolerate that I've even done is yeah, so not, like, I know from a friend that I've oh, I want to add this in as well, like, if I'm going to caption it, I think it's okay to just let it go on a bit, but I did see this thing about the time and, I should have really said this at the beginning, but time and effort that's involved in relationships, like, is something to be accountable for. And, like, sometimes when I'm like, oh, I should make more friends, like, I should make the effort to, like, go to more, like, social occasions and find people to hang out with, like, online, and then, or, like, use Bumble or, like, something like that to, like, meet different people, or go to, like, meetups with different people and stuff. But then I'm like, you know, do I do that? Because I just can't, like, be bothered sometimes. Like, there's actually a massive level of you know, time and effort that is involved in sorry. So there's actually a massive level of time that is involved in friendships, and sometimes if you don't, like, resonate on the same level as someone anymore, that can be a reason for friendships to go down different paths, and that's just kind of a natural part of life, because you can resonate on the same level as someone, and for that reason be attracted to each other and have stuff in common. But sometimes if you are different for various reasons, that can be part of why you don't resonate on that level anymore with them. So therefore conflict will be created, but also it's good to just distance yourself. Like, we all have the choice to distance ourselves, and we do, and we will, and it'll kind of happen anyway. But if you kind of try and if you spend some time with someone, like we all have our own free will at the end of the day, like you spend time with the worst person for you ever in the world, and lots of us do, because we gravitate through the law of attraction to things that we are afraid of, and that's kind of part of our mind trying to keep us safe and understand the negatives of the world and the negatives that can outcomes that we can have. So I actually think it's a really helpful part of life. But at the same time, you know, we all have the ability to create boundaries, and by boundaries I don't mean physical boundaries and boring boundaries and like, oh, I'm gonna never see that person, like, oh, I need to make loads of boring standards and boundaries for people that they're not going to comply to. Part of it, yes, but at the same time, especially if someone's really detrimental, or you have to spend time with someone, or you have to set higher standards for yourself because you've been repressed in life and not able to express yourself fully and things like that. But if you are, yeah, if you just resonate on a different level with people, I think it's just about, also in hindsight, even if you can, or once you've done it in hindsight, you can often catch yourself in the moment once you've learned from a season, if you are finding that you do this, to like prevent it in the future. I think it just comes with like age and experience as to catching yourself doing things more that are negative. But then at the same time, you get really old people or like middle-aged people that don't catch themselves doing things because they are unable to. I'm pretty sure I'm unaware of most of my narcissistic traits, and unwilling to be accountable for them, but that's narcissism for you. But any narcissistic traits that I do have, let's just leave that one out. But I feel like, yeah, I think that was most of what I had to say. Yeah, I think it's just about, like, yeah, I've said it all really. So yeah, thanks for listening. This was a really long video, so I'm going to caption it, but again, sorry about the lighting, sorry about my greasy face, but it's probably best that the lighting wasn't great because you can see less of the grease on my head. Bye!